Hi, it's Lil from Made by Marley, and today we're going to make these really totally wee cute um, vegetable markers for your garden using paper clay, Mod Podge, and some barbecue skewers and some letter stamps. And this is how they all came out. We've got little carrots as well, and so if you want to know how to make these, just stay tuned and we'll get on to it. So here I am cutting the barbecue skewers in half just with some clippers, setting them to the side, and I'm getting out my paper clay, and you roll it very flat. So I'm just getting the clay and rolling it out. As even as you can get it. And then I'm just using a clay tool, but you can use a knife just to cut it out, and I'm cutting it into strips and then down the middle because you want a front and a back. And I'm using Mod Podge because it's really good at gluing it together. And at the very end of this, you don't let me forget to tell you, you really need to seal these really well with a hardcore Mod Podge if you're using them in the garden. I'm going to be using mine in the greenhouse, so I'll be making sure that because when you're watering plants, you don't want them to start degrading, so you need to seal them up. So I'm putting my front and back on both sides of the skewers. I'm flattening it down, especially where the skewer is, making sure there's no air pockets and they're all sealed nice and securely. And just making sure they're all got a nice tight seal on them. And then the next thing you see me doing is just finishing off, making some more out of the leftover pieces of clay because we've rolled it out, so I may as well use it. Roll this out again and cut some more. Stick in my skewer, pat it down, make sure there's no air pockets. That's another one done. And the next thing you're going to need for this is an ink pad and some stamps. I've just got some letter stamps ready to stamp into them. There we go. That's the last one done. So I wasn't bothered about how I stamped them on. I wanted them to look all higgledy-piggledy, and there's like the squares where my ink has touched the back of the stamped on as well, and that wasn't bothered. It looks quite rustic and kind of put together. So that one says basil, and I'm just putting a wee bit of detail on the front. And I just went around my stamps and filled in all the names that I thought I might like. So I think that one there says carrots. And that's what I did with that. The trick with this is not to push too hard with your stamp. You don't want to push it all the way through, but you do want to make an indent into it, and I think they look good, if you push reasonably firmly. You just have to keep making sure that they're not separating. Once we've stamped all these, we're going to leave them to dry overnight so that they're completely dry before you give them 2 good coats of Mod Podge or external sealer, varnish, whatever you choose to use to seal your pieces. And I'm just working my way through all my little vegetable markers. So these are really handy if you're planting seeds and you want to know what's in the tray that you've planted. But sometimes, to be honest with you, they're just nice sitting in plants. They kind of give it a little bit of charm and they look nice. So, I grow things in my greenhouse, but I like things to look cute as well. So a few more to do, and these ones I'm just putting grow and bloom on them because I thought these would be quite nice and just plants that I had in the house, not necessarily for the greenhouse. So I thought it'd look quite cute as well in some of my little pots to have some little carrots. So I'm just rolling a little cylinder, putting the pointy end onto the stick first, making sure there's Mod Podge on it so that it glues to the stick, forming it into a sort of carrot shape. And this is me just marking off some really rough leaves for the top, a little bit of Mod Podge and sticking it on, and then smoothing it all down to make sure that it doesn't pop back up. And then I'm just using the clay tool to do some little grooves on the carrot, and that's it. And I'm just making a second carrot, same process, making a cylinder, dipping the Mod Podge in my barbecue skewer, smoothing it down, making sure it's adhered at the bottom where my stick is, and making some little leaves for the top. There we go, that's that one done as well. You don't see me do this on camera, but I also gave them a little bit of paint, because what the vegetable markers themselves with the words on, just let them dry, and they were good once they'd been coated with Mod Podge. But the little vegetables that I made, because this is me making a pea pod, and I'm just making the two sides and a wee leaf. And now I'm doing the same principle, making sure that it's glued properly onto that bamboo skewer. And now I'm just rolling my little peas, and they're going to go inside my little pea pod. Just stick them in with a little bit of glue, and then just put my front on it, just kind of off to the side so that you can still see the peas. And I'm making sure that I've smoothed down any lumpy bits, and my peas are all kind of well adhered so that when they dry. But again, with these, you must coat them if they're going to go outside. There'll be no use to you if you don't. That one there was just a little pea I decided to do, and this here I'm just doing two little leaves because it was the last bit of clay and I wasn't going to put that bit back. So two little leaves, stuck them together, stuck them on the bottom of my bamboo skewer, and made sure, you can't see it on camera, silly me, but just made sure that it was sticking. And there we go, that's it done. That was a really easy craft. I'm double bagging my paper clay to keep it fresh. This is how they looked when they were finished. So if you want to find out and do more crafts, then please subscribe to my channel. I do lots of crafts, home decor, upcycles, repurpose things. I do all these kind of things, and feel free to share it. Thank you.